Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the previous video we had left off our login page in this state where we had completed our email text field, and now in this video we are going to complete the rest of our login page UI. Okay, so let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is just copy the function that I already have to generate our email text field, and I'm just going to paste it, and instead of calling this function email text field, I'll call it password text field. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this function's name, go to our input form, and then do its corresponding column inside of it, and then paste it, the password text field, after our email text field. Command save, and you should see another email text field appearing. So now we're going to go back to our password text field and we'll update some stuff. So we'll still keep autocorrect false, but we'll also set one other parameter true, and that's obscure text. And this means that every time we type something, after some time, each character will be replaced by a dot. So now if I type in this field, you're going to see that once we type, each of the characters are replaced by a dot. As for our email field, this is not the case. Okay, so once we have that, the next thing we're going to do is leave the function like this, except for changing the hint text. And now the hint text is just going to say password. Okay, and do command save. Okay, so now that we have the password text field all set up too, the next thing I'm going to do is work towards creating the login button and then the registration button. So if I pull up the designs again on screen, you're going to see that we have a login button that has a blue background, then some text in the middle, and then this registration text, but this is actually going to have a gesture detector on it, which would then detect every time a user clicks this text. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a function similar to how I create a function for generating all of the other widgets. I'm just going to call this register button. And then this function is going to return a container. And then this container is going to have some attributes inside of it. So okay, so this container is now going to have a height, and it's going to be the device height multiplied by 0.06, so 6% of the device height, and a width, which would be our device's width, device's width. The next thing I'm going to do is that I am going to add a child, and the child is going to be of type material button. So this is a built-in Flutter widget or a built-in Flutter button widget. And then for the onPressed function, we're going to assign a function that is going to be triggered every time the button is pressed. For now, we'll leave it empty. So once we have that, I'm just going to do Alt-Shift-F just to reformat the code. Okay, so now that we have the material button all set up, the next thing we're going to do is define the color for our button. So I'm just going to type color, and the color attribute is going to be colors.blue. And then after that, we'll define the child inside of our material button, and the child is going to be a text widget. And I'm just going to do Alt-Shift-F to reformat the code, and the text is going to say login. And then we're going to have the style for our text, so the text styling for our text, and it's going to be of type text style. And then we're just going to, for now, give it a font size of 18, and then a font width of, and then just, I'll reformat the code first, and we'll also add the trailing commas. And then we're going to give it a font weight, and the font weight is going to be of font weight.w700. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our register button, we're going to copy it, we're going to go to the top of our input form, and then inside of our input form, what we're going to, or not our input form, sorry, we're going to go to the top of our login page UI, and after our input form, we're going to paste in the register button. And now we're going to do command save. So now the button should show up. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do now is actually just create the registration button. And the registration button is going to be a fairly simple widget, and it's just going to be a function. And we'll just call this function our register button, even though we won't be returning a button, but it is a button in our use case. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to return a container. And this container is going to have a child, and the child is going to be of type text, and then it's going to be register. and the text is going to be register, I'm just going to add our trailing semicolon, and then what I'm going to do is change the name of our login button function to actually login button and not register button. I do not know why I named it register button. I'll go up and I'll update the name here too from login to register, and then after this I'll add the register button. Do not do command save or do not reload the app for now because we still have to do some stuff. So now for our container, I'm going to define the height. The height is going to be the device's height multiplied by 0.06 to similarly sized to our login button, where we have the width, which is going to be the width of our device. Then we're going to do command save, and hopefully the button should show up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is apply some text styling first. So all I'm going to do is do style, and then I'm going to copy this line of code because it's fairly similar to how we define the text style for our login button, and I'm just going to paste it in, and it's going to be text style, the font size of 15, font weight of W700, and color of color white 60, and this should hopefully fix some of the styling. And then finally what I'm going to do is that for our text, I'm going to define the text align attribute, and I'll do alignment.center. So or not alignment.center, sorry, text align dot center. Now this is going to align the text in the center of its widget or parent widget, which is the container. And now finally what we're going to do is actually register click events on our button. And the way we're going to do this is that we're going to wrap our container widget inside of a gesture detector. And then I'm going to give the gesture detector a child. The child is going to be our container. Once that is done, we're going to do Alt-Shift-F, and we're going to add this comma, and we're going to do command save. Okay, so now that we have that, what we're going to do is that for our gesture detector, we'll have an on tap attribute. And the gesture detector can do a lot more stuff. So similar to our on tap attribute, we can have on secondary tap down, on secondary tap up, and depending on different events that happen on our UI element, these different functions are going to be called. So we're just concerned with the on tap. So we'll just define an empty function for on tap, and to show you that this works, we'll just print to the console, hey, and then I'll just do Alt-Shift-F, command save to reload the simulator. I'll just increase the size of our debug console, and then once I click on the register button, you're going to say that Flutter prints hey to the console. So this means that it actually works. Okay, so now we can remove this. Alt-Shift-F, command save. Okay, so with that we have successfully completed the login page UI for our application, and now in the next video we are going to define the authentication service that we are going to be using to actually communicate with Firebase and get everything set up there. So with that, I'll end this video here, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one.